Groz-Beckert cutting points. Groz-Beckert sewing machine needles are available with different point styles. When sewing on leather, so-called cutting points are used. There are different versions that differ in the form of their cutting edge and therefore in the appearance of the seam. In the following, we will give you a detailed overview of the individual point styles and their application fields. All explanations and seam appearances refer to the most frequently used threading direction from left to right. The R point is the standard round point without any cutting effect. It generates an almost straight seam that is slightly irregular. It can be used for sewing on soft leather or for multidirectional sewing operations. The LR point cuts the leather at an angle of 45 degrees rightward to the sewing direction. As the incision is slanted to the right, the thread is slightly slanted to the left. The stitch holes are clearly visible. The LR point is suitable for decoration seams on all kinds of leather. The LL point cuts the leather at an angle of 45 degrees leftward to the sewing direction. Thus, the incision is slanted to the left, which results in a straight seam appearance. The stitch holes are largely filled. Like the LR point, the LL point is suitable for decoration seams on all kinds of leather. The S point cuts the leather in sewing direction. A straight seam with long and clearly visible stitch holes is produced. As the seam looks almost identical from above and below, the S point is particularly suitable for seams that are visible from both sides. In general, the S point is recommended for soft and medium hard leather. The P point cuts the leather at an angle of 90 degrees to the sewing direction. Due to the strongly slanted and elevated thread position, it creates a seam with a prominent, decorative effect. The PCL point additionally comes with a point groove running out to the left. When the needle moves up, the groove prevents the thread from being pulled over the cutting edge and getting damaged. Both the P and PCL point can be used for heel and back seams on shoes and bags. On thick and hard leather, they create very decorative seams. The D point produces a big triangular cut in the leather. The result is a straight, slightly elevated seam with large stitch holes. The D point is suitable for hard and thick leather, but also for cardboard. The DH point produces a triangular cut in the leather, smaller than with a D point. It produces a straight, slightly elevated seam with large stitch holes. It can be used for sewing on medium hard and hard leather. The SD point is a round point with a small triangular tip. This leads to a minor cutting effect and a small triangular cut in the leather. A straight, slightly elevated seam is produced. This makes the SD point particularly suitable for soft and thin leather. It is also recommended for multidirectional sewing operations on leather. No matter what leather you are sewing and what you want your seam to look like, always make sure to choose the right point.